Hello, hello, and welcome. This is Crime in Court, and my name is Heather, and this is part two of the bonus Turtleboy episode where Turtleboy writes his pen pals from prison. He uh, just before he was put in jail unfairly, and I got into that a little bit last time about how it was a setup from Jen McCabe because he wrote a letter to Jen McCabe. So this is the whole thing why he's in prison is partly a setup because of Jen McCabe. So, anyways, we left off with reading the letters that Turtleboy. Sorry, my hair is really bothering me. It's like all over the place. So we left off with the letters from Turtleboy to his friends that he wrote from prison because the stay away order that was in place prior to him going to prison was just lifted right before he went to prison by the Superior Court because they don't have jurisdiction to have or to place stay away orders, and it went from district to Superior, and then the Commonwealth lost that because it went to Superior Court. I don't know why or how, but that's they weren't paying attention, I guess, to the laws, and that happened twice to them now. So, anyways, I wanted to continue off where we left off. We've got his letters to Michael Morrissey, Chris Albert, and Jill Daniels, who, if you remember, Jill Daniels is the sister-in-law of Chris Albert, and Turtleboy kind of has this running joke like she's got a crush on him or whatever. I don't know, maybe she does, but I don't really know what the running joke, how it started, but it's just kind of been going on in his show for a while. All right, so we're going to start with Michael Meatball Morrissey. This is Canton Cover-Up Part 287 from Turtleboy Daily's blog. All right, so. Dear Meatball, Mr. Meatball, I'm sure that you're probably busy exercising or building an elevator between your left and right eyebrows, because in the video that he did, his little PSA he did for all of us, his eyebrows were a little off. But I wanted to reach out and speak to you since I occupy so much space in your brain. Don't worry, there's plenty of legroom in here. I know that you're fond of writing letters and really enjoy reading your correspondences with the DOJ. That's funny because of the letters he wrote to the DOJ, trying to find out what they knew about the investigation into John O'Keefe. See, his eyebrows are a little off, just a little. Gee whiz, that Jody Cohen sure is a see you next Tuesday, am I right? I like Turtleboy. He's funny. All right, I like the way you schmoozed her up by telling her you saw her at the State House hate crime event, which he did. We read through those. He kind of was like, hey, it was nice seeing you there. By the way, if you ever want to call my troopers and get information from them, straight from their mouths. That's kind of the letter he wrote to. And that was kind of his way also of seeing what they knew of the investigation and if they were going to take the bait of like questioning the troopers, because then what questions would, depending on the questions, you would kind of know which way they might be going, maybe. I don't know. So he continues on. Don't worry though, I'm sure she remembered you as the lifelong townie who didn't realize he had cracker crumbs hanging from his lips and toilet paper stuck to his shoes. Oh, that's kind of sad. Maybe next time don't lead off with, are you gonna finish that sandwich? Darn it. I looked through all of here to try to make sure that nothing cut off, but this paragraph did. something something. Guess she's not from here, so she didn't get the memo that she's supposed to look the other way when corrupt cops cover up an unaliving. What a wicked bitch. Your letter to speak with the manager of the DOJ was priceless. I'm shocked that they weren't won over by arguments such as, "It's not fair," and "Rachel Rollins was mean to me," because he tried to blame the other attorney general that was in the place before leaving. The feds are more out of control than your cholesterol levels, according to Turtleboy. Excuse me. He says, let's back up to your August 25th press release. I haven't seen you that upset since Tip O'Neill ate the last Boston cream donut. Thank goodness you spoke out in defense of poor Colin Albert. That young man hasn't gotten any breaks in life. It was about time someone with power protected him from being criticized or asked any questions. I, for one, think it was a great career move to tie your reputation to the Advantage Boys' worst nightmare. Remember the Advantage Boys message that Colin left that I'm like wheezing here. I don't know why. I'm sorry. Colin left a voicemail for the Advantage Boys, and it posted on his TikTok or something, and it was really like he was trying to act all hard. And then Aiden, when he called him, he replicated that, but that is now like he repeated the words verbatim what Colin said, and now he's being charged with witness intimidation for saying those words that Colin said prior to that. So I don't know, it doesn't make any sense, but that's what that's about. All right, so your demand that criticism of the McAlberts needs to stop certainly went over well, too. What better way to prove people's innocence than to demand that the public stop asking questions about them? Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to stop asking questions if you say you need to stop asking questions. It's going to make me want to ask more questions. The inclusion of books in the background that you've clearly never read definitely gave the panel on Court TV the impression that you are a learned scholar and not a stereotypical Boston politician with zero self-awareness. And just for reference, we did skip right past it, but here's the bookshelves that he recorded his public service announcement, his PSA, which a lot of lawyers are like, every lawyer has these in their office, but they're starting, that's an old thing, and obviously books aren't as necessary as they used to be, so they're going away with that too. But it's a lawyer thing to have all the books behind you. So I personally loved the line that Michael Proctor had no personal relationship with any of the witnesses. Remember that when he said that? That definitely that didn't completely backfire or anything. It's not like the Proctors and the Alberts regularly displayed their close ties on Facebook. Just keep yelling at people and telling them to shut up, and they'll start believing you. Please keep feeding Coffin Daffer her propaganda and sending her out on Court TV. She's clearly a minion for them, or, they're in her ear telling her things to say, because there's no way that she could be saying or thinking or doing the things that she is actually thinking if she looked at the evidence. All right, so please keep feeding her propaganda and sending her out to Court TV to pretend to be an expert on things she doesn't have a clue about. Either that or keep having David Traub feed Gretchen Voss burgers and box wine. And that is, they were trying to get to Gretchen Voss, or at least the Commonwealth was trying to get to Gretchen Voss's personal, off the record notes that she had about Karen Reed. And the court did deny that. They said, no, you cannot have off off the record notes about someone that they're trying to get info on so that they're trying to get her on something because they know they don't have her on anything now, and their case is falling apart. All right, so continuing on with Turtleboy, I do have a question for you, though. Do you regret effing with Karen Reed? I'm sure this isn't the first innocent person you framed, but most of them probably aren't as smart and as well resourced as her. She was supposed to plead to manslaughter when you charged her with that, but probably when they upped the charges to first degree unaliving, that's probably why they did that, so that she would plead to manslaughter instead. And she wasn't supposed to prove what an evil, corrupt, bloviating ass bag Michael Morrissey is, according to Turtleboy. Those are his opinions. That's a funny picture. Look at his hair. He looks like a mess. All right. I mean, it could have been windy. I don't know. Or he could have just, woke up and went to a press conference like that. Not really sure. This whole thing with Karen and the feds seems unfair. You're a Democrat politician in Massachusetts. Didn't they get the memo that no one is supposed to challenge you? You have an Irish last name, and you've been getting elected with 90% of the vote since the fall of Saigon, and you always kill it every year at the St. Patrick's Day roast. Who the F does Josh Levy think he is? He wasn't even invited to Kenny Berkowitz's retirement party. And that is the retired chief of police of Canton, who found the very last piece of taillight many days later after the incident from the road as he was driving by. He just happened to see it. I don't believe that, but okay. Let me tell you, though, assigning Ken Mello to me, again with this, he said that in the last one to Tully. Let me tell you, though, assigning Ken Mello to take me down was a great choice that totally hasn't backfired. You have great taste in prosecutors, as can be seen by your choice to promote Adam Lally and get rid of Lori Chow. That bitch. Next time, give Mello a hand bringing the whole internet to court. It can get heavier than you on Thanksgiving. Ouch. Shots fired again. He's quite sassy from prison, and I like it. I'm currently in here with Brian Walsh. You know, the guy your boy Proctor investigated and charged with unaliving his wife based mostly on his Google searches. Good thing your office is giving his lawyer ammo for defense, since Google searches apparently are no longer real. According to the Commonwealth, because if you Google search house long to die in cold at 2:27 in the morning, it actually didn't happen. It actually happened at 6:24 in the morning. Interesting. So you can't say that the data is correct in one case and then it's not correct or not accurate in another, when it's the same data that you're looking at and reviewing. But anyways, speaking of F-ups by your office, you sure dropped the ball on the Michael Chestnut trial. Good job screening the jury for potential ratchets who would never convict a cop ender. Then again, protecting cop enders is kind of your thing, huh? And how does it feel that Cindy Chestnut is Team Free Karen Reed? That's gotta hurt more than when Howie Carr nicknamed you past the gravy. So that is a nickname that another, I think he's a YouTuber. I think he has a YouTube show, or channel at least, because that's where I thought I saw it, was YouTube, the interview. Or when he called him that, I don't know. Anyways, all right, so, and can we talk about Sandra Birchmore? What was her problem? Your good friend, Robert Devine, wanted to groom her and pass her around the Staunton Police Department like Jill Daniels at last call. Why'd she have to go and get pregnant and make your guys in blue and her ass, I'll say, making it look like self-unaliving? At least she's not able to expose you like Karen Reed, though, because Matthew Farwell ended her, is what Turtleboy is saying. Can I give you a piece of advice, though? Give money to Donald Trump ASAP. That guy loves pardoning corrupt Democrat politicians when he becomes president. I don't know. Something I cut off. But if you donate to Trump's legal defense fund, you'll be fully pardoned by January. And if I were you, I'd throw Tully and Proctor under the bus. Just say you didn't know that they were corrupt and blame it all on them. Then you and Chris Albert can get drunk, drive around, crash into shit in Milton, and blame it on Chris's pizza and the weather. But first, tell Chicken Parm Charlie to drive home and sober up. Look, I realize that things are looking kind of bad now with the indictments coming, but don't let it get you down. You're Michael effing Morrissey. When someone says you can't put gravy on pancakes, you say, hold my beer. Sure, they have the power of the federal government, but you have the power of your own gravitational pull. Just keep making more angry videos and they'll leave you alone. No one wants to mess with a guy who looks like a shook up can of orange soda. Anyway, that's enough with your legal problems. I'll be out of jail soon and hope to be there when the FBI raids your house. And I cut off the rest, but yeah, I could see why he would want to do that after they put him in jail and raided his house and took away or tried to silence him, take away his freedom of speech. All right, so this is Dear Chicken Parm Charlie, who is Chris Albert, who is the brother of the homeowner where John O'Keefe was found. Sorry, my throat was getting rough there. All right. So, Dear Chicken Parm Charlie. And he calls him this because he owns the pizza place, and I don't know, somebody at some point, said his chicken parm was mediocre. So he laughs about that and calls him mediocre Chicken Parm Charlie. All right, so first, let me say that I come in peace. In no way, shape, or form am I attempting to put you in emotional fear, as I know you are sensitive and triggered easily. I most certainly am not attempting to get you to alter your testimony, because it doesn't really matter what you testify. Your whole bloodline is effed regardless. With that said, I feel like we got off on the wrong foot. When you messaged me on April 17th and told me it would be unfortunate to write about your son's involvement in John's unaliving, you weren't wrong. I know you were a big turtle writer prior to that, and something tells me your wife Julie's worst nightmare would be to end up on Turtleboy. Now you're one of the leading candidates for Ratchet Madness 2024, so you're right. That is unfortunate. I am currently sitting in jail, but it's not so bad because I'll be out in less than 2 weeks. But you know who's probably going to spend a lot more time in jail, and get treated a lot worse than me. Anyone who helped unalive John O'Keefe. It would have to be someone who was inside the house when John got there. Do you know anyone like that? Oh, right, your son. Bang, bang. He's gonna love it here, as the COs, or correction officers, are big fans of cop enders. I bet they are. Maybe he can reunite with the Advantage Boys and make hardo videograms to Adele's greatest hits. You've obviously done a great job raising your boys. Your oldest son, Mighty Mouse, is off living the GTL life, but clearly your pride and joy is Colin. He's exactly what you were when you were his age, a drunken, privileged queef who's been raised to believe that actions don't have consequences. Speaking of that, remember that time back in 94 when you got shit-faced and ended a man? What was that guy's problem? He should have gotten out of your way. It's not like there were other lanes on I-95 and you could have just gone around him. You're Chris effing Albert, King Dick of Canton. You exclusively use Donkey Kong when you play Mario Kart. If some Koopa Troopa mother effer gets in your way, you go full ludicrous on their ass. If he dies, he dies. Alberts are always allowed one mulligan murder in their formative years, apparently. Good thing you learned your lesson after fleeing the scene and spending 6 months in jail, though. Yeah, he ran. You really showed that you weren't an entitled drunk towny puke when you started a fight with the Lopolato brothers, got your ass beat, and then ran crying to Michael, the fixer Link. We know about him, so they'd be arrested. That's he was one of the investigators, first one I believe to arrive on scene when John O'Keefe was found. All right, Canton Police. Then again, emasculating yourself by crying to the cops seems to be what you're best at. Remember that time some harmless woman and children held signs across the street from your welfare pizza shop and you cried to Ken Mello about it? A lot of grown men would be embarrassed to say they needed protection from a 17-year-old in sandals holding a sign. Not Chicken Parm Charlie, though. You got rid of all of your shame when you took Julie back after finding out she was getting railed by Officer Wade. Whoa. Shots fired. Okay. Turtleboy. Ouch. You support Back the Blue, but the blue back doors your wife. Sorry. Oh. Okay. Well, now we know. The blue backdoors Julie Albert. Speaking of Back the Blue, you know what is a great way to show your support for the police? Paying your taxes that fund their salary. I realize it's hard to do this when your wife is getting brought into court by creditors and has to return items at the grocery store. But let's be honest, most of the income from D&E isn't from selling mediocre chicken parms, so it's not like you have to pay taxes on it anyway. I'll tell you what a really smart thing to do after your family ended someone. Run for selectman. Yep. That way, when you go to meetings, you can sit there getting roasted by middle-aged women and pretend like excuse me, pretend like it's not bothering you. Then again, you let other men bang your wife, so getting undressed by Rita Lombardi twice a month isn't the least humiliating thing you've lived through. Aw, poor Chris Albert. It was great seeing you at the meeting I attended in September. A lot of people would have felt uncomfortable with an award-winning journalist holding a sign saying blood pizza above their head for an hour. Not you, though, because you have no shame. I'm not going to lie. It was a little rude to shut the door in my face like you've done to bill collectors so many times, but I just wanted to ask you some questions. Luckily, you had your own personal police escort, which is a nice little perk considering everyone in town funds his salary. Except you. And that is a little bit before he got arrested for the first time. I think this really like pushed him over the edge, um, anger wise, and then that's what really made him want to push forward with arresting Turtleboy, because he did this during a selectman board meeting. So it was kind of funny, but because he did. I mean, it's not funny, it's true, but it's kind of funny that Turtleboy stood there the whole time. Anyways, on the way out of the meeting, I walked you to your Jeep and asked you how you paid for it. Little did I realize your diabolical comeback would be, how do you pay for yours? Checkmate. I'd be happy to answer that for you, though. You see, Chris, when you don't owe a shitload of cash to creditors and the IRS and ... On the way out of the meeting, I walked you to your Jeep. Oh, I said that already. Oh, that was what that said. Okay. I gotta be honest, though. Your tough guy Albert shtick doesn't work when you go crying to the courts looking for harassment orders. That ended when you sexually harassed those women at the waterfall and started crying in the parking lot when they fired back at you. You're kind of a bitch, but not really. You're actually a whole bitch. God, I love Turtleboy's writing. It's so good lately. All right. I love what you've done with D&E Pizza, though. And you've obviously invested a lot into your business. The cardboard curtains and unwashed windows make the customers feel like they're in a Brockton triple-decker about to enjoy a microwaved Elio's pizza. And the help is so charming, too. Roast beef Ronnie really makes you feel welcome when he greets you at the Canton Salute, with the Canton Salute and a F.U. Turtleboy. And nothing is more inviting than Jim Ferris ripping butts outside on the bench all day as he admires his '05 Prius and brings more shame to his family than Tim Albert. I think that's roast beef Ronnie. I don't know who these people are. All right, so Colin wasn't inside the house that John O'Keefe never supposedly went inside, right? But again, I'm not trying to get you to change your testimony. In fact, I'd be happy if it turned out that you lied to the feds about everything so that you can join your brother and son in the can. Maybe when they come to arrest you, you can call up Ken Mello and try to have the FBI charged with witness intimidation. That's funny. Yeah, that's really gonna fly. Oh well, prison is actually perfect for you. Everything is paid for by the taxpayers while you contribute nothing. You'll fit in, he says. And the final letter is to Jill Daniels, and this is the sister of Julie Albert. So Chris Albert's wife. And Chris Albert, the guy, Chicken Parm, who we were just talking about, it's his wife's sister. So his sister-in-law. All right, so Canton Cover-Up Part 292. Dear Jill Daniels, no, I can't be your Valentine. And this is funny because he called her on the show one time and live on the show, and it was pretty funny. And she was very talkative. It was, if you haven't watched it, I recommend you go back and look at it because it was quite funny. And she kept calling him, or like there were multiple phone calls. It was funny. It was going on for a while. All right, so today is Valentine's Day, and although I'm in jail and a little bit lonely, I'm writing to let you know that I'm declining your request to be my Valentine. Don't get me wrong, I'm strangely flattered, but at the end of the day, you're just not my type, and there are a lot of red flags that would prevent us from taking our relationship to the next level. Let me start by saying that it's not because of your looks. I'm not superficial, and I don't care if you look like you spent the last decade chopping wood in the Siberian forest. I don't mind that your face oddly resembles a black diamond mogul in the Alps. Okay. And it's not a deal breaker that sitting on your face looks like it would feel like taking a nap on my leather dorm room couch after being left out in the rain. Ouch. Mean, kind of, but funny. I don't know. This is Turtleboy's words. I'm just reading them. Some things I think are funny. All right, so it's really more of a Montague Capulet thing. A McAlbert and a turtle simply cannot be together. The families won't allow it. Thanksgiving would be far too awkward. How would you introduce me to your godson, Colin? This is the guy who gave you all the sads for doing an impression of your Hardo TikToks. How could I pretend to enjoy your brother-in-law's chicken parm when I've repeatedly called it mediocre at best? That's a good question. And what about your poor sister, Julie? I was once charged with witness intimidation against her because I left her a voicemail asking how did it feel to lose best looking to Jen McCabe in high school. I can only imagine the emotional harm it causes to bring up losing a beauty contest to someone nicknamed Horseface. Poor Julie must be so jealous of you and Jen. While she got stuck with the only Albert brother who makes less money than Tim and had to move out of her house on account of being married to a deadbeat, you and Jen hitched your wagons to successful men. Sure, Matt McCabe may have bigger Gerber servers than you do, but he makes enough money to raise 4 kids in a nice house while his wife sits around covering up unalivings all day. Meanwhile, look at the catch you reeled in. Granted, the first time Nick Marathas was introduced to your family, they thought he mistook your house for a bingo hall. But the second he called one of them a effing homo, he was officially part of the Albert family. They knew it at the They knew at that moment if one of them ever needed to get rid of some bloody carpets quietly, Marathas Carpeting would be their first call. I don't know if I'm saying that right. All right, your role in this whole saga is kind of underrated. A lot of people assume you're just a crazy drunken aunt who wants to hate the shit out of me, but you're actually the most important player in the cover-up. You are the connection between the McAlberts and the Proctors. Without your close friendship with Michael Proctor's sister, Courtney, her mother would never have called the Alberts her second family. Without you, Colin never would have been the ring bearer in Courtney's wedding. Without you, Michael Proctor never would have sat with Chris and Julie at the wedding. Without you, Chris never would have been able to call up Proctor and make sure that he was the lead detective after finding out his son and brother were there for John O'Keefe's ending. Without you, Proctor, Tully, and Buchanan might have done some real police work and figured out why Colin's Ford Edge was parked outside. It was Colin's Ford Edge. What? Why Colin's Ford Edge was parked outside Brian Albert's house at 3 a.m. Without you, your whole family would be effed and Karen Reed would never have been framed for unaliving. That's why we would never work. It doesn't matter how much you yearn for the extra emoji or how flattered and starstruck you were when you picked up your phone that night, heard my voice and yelled, "It's Turtleboy!" as your self-moisturized, I'm not saying that, as you know. The bottom line is that I worked hard to expose the cover-up you were indirectly responsible for, so we could never be together. My reporting is likely to culminate with several of your family members in jail. It would just be too awkward. At first, I thought you didn't like me. or at first I thought you didn't like me like that, but now I can see you were just playing hard to get. It was all part of the classic McAlbert courtship process. Boy meets girl, girl meets boy. Boy exposes girl's family for unaliving cover-up. Girl calls boy turtle douche. Boy calls girl on live show. Girl accuses boy of being a turtle. A turtle. Boy asks girl question about nephew's involvement in the unaliving, and girl almost accidentally admits nephew was inside the house during that time. Boy continues to press girl. Girl accidentally reveals that her family suspects Brian Higgins is cooperating with the FBI. Boy calls girl pussycat. Girl asks boy where all his awards are. Boy assumes girl no longer wants to speak to him after getting hung up on. Girl calls back to call boy a effin' loser. Sorry, I can't do the Canton accent as well as you guys. You're awesome at it. And tells him to shut the F up. All right, so I really thought you hated me after that, and if I'm being completely honest, or I really thought you hated me after that, if I'm being completely honest, but it's only because I've never been seduced by a McAlbert. Weeks later, I was holding a peaceful protest outside your brother-in-law's place, which is totally not a drug front, and coincidentally, you drove right by. I wouldn't have seen you if you didn't make sure you got my attention by giving me the Canton salute. Little did I realize that this was your way of saying you wanted to bone. Had I known this was your way of flirting, I wouldn't have brought up that you looked like a piece of aluminum foil after it was used to pack a bologna sandwich for lunch. That's kind of mean. Anyways, I hope you have a happy Valentine's Day regardless. It just won't be with me. I give you permission to think about me while Nick overdoses on Viagra and passes out at 8:30, but we both know you're going to do that anyways. Maybe things could have worked out differently if your whole family didn't cover up the unaliving of John O'Keefe, or if you invested in moisturizer. But they did, and you didn't, so I cannot be your Valentine. Love, Turtle Douche. And that is the end of his pen pal letters. He did write one other to some like towny guy. I'm not even sure who he is, and I didn't read that one, but because he wasn't a guy that we talked about in any of my series. So we talked about these individuals all throughout. So he wrote his pen pals while he was still in prison, and the stay away orders were lifted, and those were the things he had to say. What do you think about what he had to say? I, for one, enjoyed reading them, and I think his writing is excellent right now. I'm enjoying the snarky, the underlying insults. I love it. I love it all. Anyways, I'm not here for the drama, but I do think that these were quite funny, especially because Turtleboy has a way of saying things that other people don't say it that way. And, you know, Turtleboy just comes out and says it. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed these follow-ups, these bonus episodes with his letters to his friends from prison that he wrote. If you guys have other topics you want me to cover about the Karen Read, I mean, we really went through mostly everything, but if you guys have questions or want me to cover more in depth about something, feel free to please let me know in the comments below. I love to do deep dive videos and stuff, so these are fun for me. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye. Whoops. Oh, there we go.